begin. So all the laptops put away. Phones as well. I don't want to say it again. All laptops away. One guy there. So if you look at your schedule, I wasn't supposed to teach today, but the person we invited is not able to come, so I'm just trying to do mine today and then later on they will come. You can see one laptop there. A lady? Is it a laptop? What is it? iPad? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so if you want to do well on the exam, pay particular attention to this lecture. Very important. Take good notes. Okay? Good notes. Listen well, because you're going to meet it in the final exam. So you have to do well. So make sure you understand it. Okay? Okay. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you once again for our life that we can come and study this important topic. We pray that your Spirit will lead and guide and bless us with understanding. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Okay. So, we said we're going to call it stress, turning your enemy into a friend. There's a book that is called None of These Diseases. If you've got a chance to see that book before, written by 2 medical doctors. So I took some of the ideas from this book by and large. And so, what do we want to achieve in this class or in this lecture? I said at the end of this, I hope that students will understand the word stress. Everybody is talking about stress. But from here, you will really understand it very well and learn how to cope with it, and then also have a better life. It's very good, right? So you pay tuition, you come to class, you learn some good stuff, put them into practice, and also help you with your future life. So to begin with, even before I go into the definition of stress, I'm going to give you 4 case studies. These are true stories. Okay? 4 true stories about stress. So this is the first one. So, this girl is called Helen. A very true story. Okay? Hiding behind her father. She's shivering, she's panicking. What has happened is that Helen has not eaten very well the past 6 weeks. Everything that she will eat, she threw up. Okay. She's about 6 years old. And the reason what that had happened is that this started on her first day of school. Because Helen lived in a small cottage, okay, with very few neighbors. So she spent most of her days playing in the family room or just in the backyard. Suddenly, school had reopened and then they took her to school. So on the bus, she saw these big kids on the bus. And then everybody playing with their friends. She didn't have a friend. And then suddenly she realized that going to that class, her mother and her father was not there. And the teacher, this big teacher with new rules. So she started becoming afraid, and stress signals from her brain would throw acid into her stomach. And when the acid was just so full, everything was out. So for 6 weeks, Helen was vomiting. That's stress. It's a true story. And actually this happens to some number of good kids, good kids, a good number of kids in the first year of their school. Case study 1. Second one. This study is called Jill. Came to a doctor's office, started telling her story. 5 minutes into the story, she had reviewed so many things that are happening to her in the last 2 months. Jill has lost her job. Her Her husband has left her. Her daughter has gotten into trouble in school. The CRA, you know CRA, Canadian Revenue Agency, CRA was auditing her small business. And then she went on and on and on telling this story to the doctor. So finally the doctor asked her, what brought you here? After hearing all those stories, she said, I got some stomach flu. I just cannot shake it off. For the past week, I have had non-stop diarrhea. So a young girl was throwing up. This one is going through down, right? So diarrhea. And so she started giving her own prescription. She said, could you please give me stomach pills or antibiotics or even nerve pills? I'll be okay. So that's the second one. So we talk about one girl, one lady. The guys might be thinking, oh, this is a lady's disease. Wait, here's a third case study. John had gone to a rural school all his life. All his classes have been very small, but he knew every student in every class that he attended. All of a sudden he finished high school, was accepted into a big university in the provincial capital. His first class that he went to, there were 400 students in that intro to Bible. And then he went to intro to psych, there were 600 students. And so John felt like a pebble in the ocean. But he tried. Fast forward, the first day of exams in the first semester, he entered the university's large exam hall that is called a Great Hall. There John saw thousands of students coming to write the exam. And so he nervously looked around through the crowd and found his seat. His palms started sweating, and soon he was shaking. As soon as someone shouted on the microphone, "Start work," John peed in his pants. It's a true story. He felt like he was having a nervous breakdown. Almost like he's blind, he couldn't even read the questions. And so it can happen to a girl, it can happen to a woman, it can happen to a university student. Well, it can also happen to men and women. This man is called Charlie. He's about to lose his job. So he worries, obviously. And then he started to ask questions. How can we afford Christmas presents? How can I find a new job? How will I pay for the mortgage and the bills? What will my family and my friends think about me? So his worry goes on and on. And so by now I think you have an idea about stress that we're going to talk about. In fact, by now you know that there are many causes of stress, even before I define it for you. And some of them are major life changes, like getting married, changing jobs, the death of a loved one. All those can cause stress. Daily pressures, like problems at school or at work, money issues, even traffic when you are caught up in traffic, not in Lagon, traffic in Toronto or Vancouver, in those big cities, traffic in New York, where they honk like Africa, right? And maybe Philippines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so daily pressures. And then negative circumstances, illness, divorce, layoff, and stuff. They all bring stress. So, what is stress? We're going to try to define it. I haven't put anything here, so you have to take good notes. You can find definition of stress on the internet everywhere, but it's going to take a very simple one. So a stress or stress is simply the body's natural reaction or response. How the body responds to challenges. Very simple definition. How the body responds to challenges or demands or even perceived threats when we think something is going to affect us, right? The body's natural response to challenges, demands, or perceived threats. Okay? And sometimes we call this, how the body starts to do that is what we call fight or flight. But I'm going to run away and I'm going to face it, right? And when that thing happens, the body starts to release hormones, those chemical messengers. Okay? And two of those that are very, very popular are cortisol. These are the release hormones, cortisol or adrenaline. Okay? And when the body starts to release those, then your heart rate goes up. Okay? Your blood pressure goes up. And then you get energy either to fight or to run. So those are some of the simple definitions, but I'm going to break things down for you. Of course, a little amount of stress is good. Okay? I mean, you have to, if you are in the house and somebody just bang into the door, you have to get a little stress to be ready either to run or to fight, right? So a little amount of stress is good. But sometimes when you have this long-term, what we call chronic stress, it can lead to so many problems for you. And so that's the general definition. I'm going to put some words on the slide for you so that we will see what happens in our body. So our first one is that your mind becomes upset. So an upset mind makes the body sick. Say for a sound body is found in our sound mind is found in the sound body. So an upset mind, something is worrying you. Okay? And therefore, it affects the body. That's how the body is made. Something is worrying the mind, therefore. So I'm going to break that down again. In other words, we can say that the mind, which sometimes we call psyche, okay? The mind produces sickness in the body. And the body is called soma. Okay? So something happens to the mind and then affects the soma. Therefore, the stress can also be referred to as psychosomatic illness. So all those four conditions, four case studies we started with, they were all going through psychosomatic illness. Because something was happening to the mind, something was happening to the body, and they were reacting in a different way. Okay? So, unfortunately, we live in a society where people think that, well, when that thing happens to you, everything is in your head. That is not true. Contrary to popular opinion, it's not like everything is in your head. Okay? You think when somebody is stressed, maybe they are crazy, but it happens to all of us. All of us. So it's not in your head. Okay? Now, one thing I want to add, because most of us are also kingdom believing people, I want to add that we are also spiritual. Okay, as we saw in our last class. We are also spiritual. Therefore, when your spirit is disturbed or upset, okay, the spirit is also called pneuma. Okay, we are also spiritual. And therefore, because we are also spiritual, we can add that to the equation above. An upset spirit, pneuma, which can also upset your mind, and then this harms the body, and therefore we can actually make the term a bigger one. Pneumopsychosomatic illness. So your spirit is something worrying your spirit. Okay? Something worrying your spirit, and then it affects your head and everything. So that's how I want us to define or explain stress. Okay? So I have asked you to take very good notes. I can ask you to write an essay about stress. And then you have to write an essay. You write essays and you all did very well. You kind of structure it very well from the top. And then these are what the causes, these are the whatever. And so as you go through, you see how to do that. So, stress. So I ask the question, when was stress born? Born. I don't know. Now, is that a laptop or an iPad? iPad. Okay, good. Oh, stress born. That's a funny question, but in other words, what I'm trying to say is, when did it start? When did people start to talk about stress? And so the answer I want to give is that even though everybody is talking about stress, the term stress was never part of our vocabulary until the 1930s, a long time ago. 1930s. It actually happened by accident. Okay? There is this man that's called Hans Selye. Let me try to see if I can. Selye. There's the picture. So Hans Selye. Okay? He was a young researcher working, and as a biologist working in the lab. He was working with rats. Okay? Well, he was quite nervous, holding rats, even small mice, holding them. Those of you in the biology lab, it's not that easy. But he was holding rats, and then he kept on dropping them. So he catch one, and then he feels that they are going to bite him, he dropped them. So Hans kept on dropping his lab rats, and then chasing them around the lab. Chasing them and then trapping them, chasing them, trapping them. That's why he found something. All of a sudden, he found that almost all the rats were having ulcers. When he dissected them, they all had ulcers. They had ulcers, they were having hormone imbalances. So he was the person who was actually vessels in your cheek would tend to dilate and then you tend to blush, right? So that's all these are some of the physiological things that can happen to you. And then changing secretions, for example. If you haven't presented in a class like this before and you are shy and you are nervous, the first time they place you there, what will happen is that, well, because of your fear, the alarm messages from your brain would send signals to your salivary glands, and then they start to produce saliva. And then your brain, your mouth becomes dry. That's how dry mouth happens. And then you almost feel like they have put cement in your mouth. You feel. I've heard someone actually confess that in his first presentation, he became so frozen, he forgot of everything that he had planned to say, and then he was just. And so when that happens, you need a friend who will come and hold you and maybe encourage you. And then we have this, what we call muscle spasms. This is extremely important. It happens to people. Okay? When you worry, the muscles tend to kind of spasm, and then you kind of contract so much. That is the reason why people who tend to be stressed all the time, who tend to worry so much, what happens to them? Chronic back pain.
Oh, never mind.
Chronic back pain. Okay? And because the body is it's a multiple irritable triggers to the muscles. Okay? Chronic back pain. And in fact, it can continue, and people can get the severe one that's called fibromyalgia, and that's this, you almost tend to have a widespread pain all over the body. The whole body is aching because of stress. Okay? So, we've done that, we've got these three, we've got that table, I'm going to expand that, and then we're going to do something interesting. I'm watching the time as well. So, this is actually a partial list of how stress will affect the whole body. See, I say partial, we have 11. And we have some more on the other sheets. And so it is not a joke. Okay, someone here is a partial list of conditions that could be worsened or could maybe be initiated by stress, emotional stress. Okay, so I'm going to go through this very quickly for you. You have the list. I'll explain some of them. Disorders of the digestive system. Hans' experiment, what was the first disorder that he observed? Ulcers. Okay? People get ulcers ulcers of the stomach and intestine. And what is happening is that because what happens is that because of so much acid being produced in the stomach, it goes through the lining, and then bacteria is able to seep into your lining, and you got ulcers. Okay, it happens all the time. So it happens. In fact, I don't know how many. I'm not going to ask how many of you have got ulcers. I have had ulcer before. Okay, because when you do your PhD studies, and then we also do postdoc in the sciences, we also do postdoctoral studies, they are heavy stuff. Because you go to class, you go to the lab, you write papers, you do all sorts of things, and then I had a young family, and then, so everything. So all of a sudden, I was eating well and everything, but my tummy started just, almost like they are cutting my tummy with scissors. And when they say you have ulcer. Okay? So it's a true story. You can be under stress. And then disorders of the circulatory system. Okay? For example, high blood pressure, we've said that abdominal heartbeats, your heart will be beating, you're getting chest pain, angina pectoris. Okay? Disorders of the genitourinary system. Very, very common. The ladies, stress can affect your menstruation. That is not flowing well or flowing too much, okay? And then frequent or painful urination before success, okay? Disorder of the nervous system, you could have headaches. That's number one, headaches. You get stressed, you have headaches, okay? Headaches all the time. So headaches, and then panic attacks and tremors and even suicidal ideation, because your brain is really not working well. Okay? Okay? Disorders of the glands. Some of the glands you have in your body, like the thyroid disorders, diabetes, and so on and so forth. Allergies and the immunological conditions. Okay? Some people just chronic fatigue. They're always tired. When they are stressed, hives, hay fever, asthma attacks. Okay, we've already mentioned the muscle and joint disorders. Okay, back pain. That is, most people complain of back pain. Okay, back pain, neck pain, stress, and then infections. We've talked about cold stuff, strep throats. And then inflammation of skin and inflammatory and skin diseases, you tend to have all those different types of cancers. We are not saying that all these diseases are brought on by stress, but we are saying that it could just magnify them, or maybe just cause I can add a few others. So this is a short list. If you want to add a few other mental and emotional conditions, okay? Irritability. You have a good friend, all of a sudden they start to get angry. Every little thing they get angry about. Okay? And then feelings of sadness, guilt, anxiety. Okay? For students, what this is important to know is that the next one is cognitive. You find it difficult to concentrate when you're under stress. You find it difficult to concentrate. Okay? And so that's very important. And then the physical, the headaches, and others. Then in behavioral, others start to eat too much. All of a sudden, they start to eat too much. They are not natural big eaters, but they start to eat too much. Others stop eating. They don't want to eat. Okay. So far, having asked you to do anything, now we are going to take parts. So the question is, if this is how serious stress can be, then what is your current stress status? You're not going to tell me. I'm going to help you to find out. Okay? So I'm going to put a table on the screen. It's really very small, but so there are questions here. So when you read a question, if it is this one, you just check this. Okay? Just check. You make 3 columns. Just check, and when you finish, you total, and then we will tell you. The total will tell you your stress level. You should be happy you are doing this because people pay to do this. This one is free. So, what is your stress level? Here's the table. It's very small, so we have to really, those of you in the front who see this, those that are close to do that. Okay? We're going to use a few minutes to do this. Okay? So here's how we do it. I'm going to show you. So here's the question. I have trouble getting to sleep or getting up. So if it is almost never, you just check here, right? So make 4 columns. Check, check, check. Now you finish your total. You don't have to write all these things down. They are going to be on in your notes, right? But for now, just make a small table on your sheet. Just check, check, check. Okay? And so maybe I can read for all of us to do it together. Is that the way to go? Let's go. So first one, I have trouble getting to sleep or getting up. So almost never, sometimes, usually, or almost always. Check. I'm going to go to the next one. My room is a mess. Check one of them. Okay? I sense that my grades may not be secure. Check. And then I spend too much time on social media. Check. I am unable to save money. Check. Do you even have money? I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I work longer hours than I like to. Check. Okay, check one of them. It's important to do this. But I'm going to show you something. I wish I watched less TV. Check. I have a credit debt. Check. I weigh more than I want to. Check. And that I do not exercise 3 or more times per week. Check one of them. I am not recognized for my contributions at work, maybe school. Check. I worry about mine or someone else's health. Check. I'm late for appointments. Check. Or I'm late to class. I see some of you coming to class late. Okay? And then arguments with others are not resolved on the same day. So what you do is that if you have, say, 5 in this column, put it down, and then the first column multiply by 5, by 1. If you got some numbers in the second column, multiply by 2. The third column answers multiply by 3. The fourth column answers multiply by 4. Even if you didn't finish today, you can do it with the notes. But I'm going to give you a minute or two to total your answers. Put them all together in total. And then we'll show you where you are. Okay? Those of you who didn't do it, how about if you met this in the exam? And so it's good that you know how to do it. Okay? It's good practice. It's all for your own life as well. Okay? Alright. Because of time, I'm going to show you how we do this. And so your answer, if your total answer is below 28, okay, you are now living a low stress life. Okay? If your answer is 28 and above, you are living a high stress life now. Okay? So we are not going to share. Nobody shares your answer. Take your own answer. If you didn't do it, make sure you know how to do this. Okay? Alright. So we've done 1. 2 more then, and then we'll take a break and I'll show you the main reason why we are doing this. How do I turn this into a friend? Okay? So now you know your stress level. The second one we are going to do is you have to know how you respond to stress. Okay? This one is your stress level. This one is how you respond to stress. That one, the questions are here. This one, in a column 0, column 5, column 10. I'm going to read for all of us to do. So let me show you the first one. Someone cuts me off in traffic. If I say, poor guy, he's having a bad day, is that what I usually say? I'll put 0 for myself. If I say, whoa, it's dangerous out here, I'll put 5. If I say, crazy driver, you know, then you put 10. how do I respond? Okay? Done that. Let's go to the second one. Someone lectured me wrongly in an area of my own expertise. I know how to run and someone lectures me. Let's go. The answers. Maybe he knows something I don't know. 0. Or he says, his insecurity is showing. I'll let it pass. 5. I feel the urge to set him right. That's 10. Next one. I hear of a child who died of a drug overdose. Okay? Something bad happens in the community. Column 1. I realize that bad things can happen. If that's how you respond, put 0. We need better drug programs. 5. 10. I wish the drug pusher were dead. You know? Crazy. If that's how you respond in life, put that down. Let's go. I'm going to have to speak to a large group. And then I said, I'm ready in a week in advance. That's how you prepare. 0. I am nervous just before the talk. 5. I stay awake worrying about it all night. That's 10. That's how you respond. Next one. I've been waiting for an hour for the doctor when someone who came in after me checks out. They came and passed me and went to the doctor's office. Next one. I assume that there must be a good reason. You know? Next one. I remind the receptionist that I am waiting. Next one. I feel anger and irritation boiling up inside of me. Is that how you respond? Next one. My mechanic puts on the oil filter incorrectly. The engine is ruined. How do I respond? Everyone makes mistakes. 0. I ask for him to pay for the damage. 5. I want to tell people what a bad job he did. You even go to social media and rate him. Okay? Next one. Layoffs are coming at work and I sense that my job may be cut. How do I respond? I try to ignore any negative thoughts. 0. I consider a job and prepare resume. 5. I worry or I'm furious at management. Okay? Next one. My next door neighbor's house is robbed. Listen to this. 0. I am thankful that it wasn't me. 5. What's that? I consider a burglar alarm. And then 10. I hear imaginary burglars at night. I can't sleep. Okay? We're almost done. Next one. Dad calls. He says, I'm making a big mistake. Dad is telling you are making a big mistake. And then you say to yourself, oh, he's older, so he must be right. Or, I consider his advice. 5. I think, who asked him? That's what I'm thinking about that. Okay? Last one. The weather forecast is wrong and my picnic is ruined. You say to yourself, great, I get to spend time with my friends. Or, maybe I'll use another weather channel next time. 5. Or, I always blame weathermen for the weather. So, total, the same way it is, total. I'm going to give you, and then so the first one, you know your stress level, high or low, and now we're going to see how. Yeah. So if you put so in here, this one is 0. This one will not give you anything, right? So if you put here, it's really going to reduce your report. And then here you multiply by 5, and then you multiply by 10. Put your numbers down, and then I'll show you what we do here. Of course, the 10 is down here. I bet you this one, most of us will fail. That's okay. That's how life is. Okay? Alright, so let me show you the result, how the results are read. If you get 50, I'm really saying 50 and below, they call you a cool reactor. You react very coolly. Okay? You tend to grow, and then if you get over 50, this time you get over 50, Okay? We call you a hot reactor. So what have you done? Break time is coming. What have you done? We have seen those who are high stress, those who are low stress, and then we've seen cool reactors and hot reactors. And so now we are going to put them all together and try to see where we are. We call it the stress zone. Okay? And this is very important. Stress zone. So if you are a low stress person and also a cool reactor, great. Okay? You're actually a rare person. Okay? Stress is not a problem for you right now, and so on and so forth. If you're a low stress person and you're a hot reactor, we said you are not stressed right now, but be careful. Okay? The most dangerous of all is high stress, hot reactor. Watch out. You are in a danger zone. Simplify your life. Take a vacation. Learn new ways to handle stress. Stress may be hastening the end of your life.
Oh my.
Some people are in this zone. I don't know if you've seen people in your classes or in your neighborhood, and they keep on punching doors and walls, and it's just too much. Okay? And so we take our break now. Let's take. I'm going to give you a longer break. Stress, whether we are cool reactors or hot reactors, we combine the two, and now we found where we lie on the zone. Okay? So this is self-reflection. And we do it. I'll put the notes. If you didn't get a chance to do all the tables, do them and actually place yourself. This is what people pay to go to see psychologists for them to tell them. This is free. Do it yourself and find where you are. And then as we go to the end, we talk about how we can do better. Then you can use some of those ideas, okay? Now, another way of looking at this thing that we looked at in the zone is, this one is done by McGill University in Quebec, okay? They said, well, the quadrants are important, but we can actually have a stress curve. They prefer to have a curve instead of a quadrant. Okay? So, they said that, well, if you are going to have a happy life, of course you need to have a little stress in your life, right? So that's a human nature. But sometimes we overshoot and then we go to the other side, and sometimes we don't have any little stress at all in our lives. And so they are saying that you can have under stress conditions. This is about productivity, how you produce, how you do well in exams, how you work hard, and all those, right? And so you can right here, this part is called the under stress. Okay? Under stress people, what is happening is that they easily get bored. So there's nothing motivating them to do anything, right? So they get bored, they get irritable, and they actually get depressed. Because there's nothing that is moving them to do anything. So boredom. Okay? Too little stress, low motivation, poor performance. If you're a student, if you are not careful and you enter into this zone, you're not going to do well in your exams. Because nothing is motivating you to go to class, to study, and to have fun with your friends. You are simply bored. So it's also a danger zone. Okay? So that is what we call the under stress zone. Now the optimum stress or optimum zone or the optimum productivity in the middle here, that's where everybody wants to be. Okay? So over there, you have just enough stress to keep you motivated. Enough stress level. Enough stress that you get up in the morning and say, yes, I'm going. I know I could have slept a little longer, but I'm going. Okay? You come back from school, maybe you say go to the gym and do a few other things. But enough stress to keep you challenged and excited about life. Okay? And so when you're excited, it doesn't mean that you don't have any problems in life. You have problems, but you are excited to go on. Okay? So, and that is very, very important, the optimum area. So, optimal performance, you know, you come across comfort, stretch, and strain levels, they're all there, but you are doing your work. Everything is green. You're doing your work, even though there's, okay? And then we have a zone of poor decision making. I mean, those yellow ones, you actually get into the burnout zone. So that is almost fatigue and then poor judgment. But the most dangerous one is the far right. Okay? Burnout or crisis. Exhaustion. And then serious health problems. Sometimes you break down. Okay? So that one is the overstress. So for many people, the issue is the overstress zone. So we have under stress, optimum, overstress zone. That's the biggest issue for most people. Okay? For example, you know, you go through a very hard week, you know, or maybe working 18 hours days. Some people do 2 jobs. You know, I know people who you come from one job, sleep for 2-3 hours, and then get up and go and do another 8 hours. I mean, it's, you know, you're going to be overstressed, trying to reach a deadline. And then when you finally realize that you are not going to make it, your life goes out of control. Okay? You were overstressed, and then you were heading for burnout. So that's kind of pendulum that your life swings in can actually lead to burnout. And so, when that is happening, when you are here or there, you need some control. Okay? I'm going to describe one experiment to you about developing a sense of control. You have to have some control in your life. And so this one also was done, they used students. So they paired students and put them in separate rooms. Okay? Now what they did was that they gave them math problems. They could all do the math. They're all math students. And then in this room, so in both rooms, they piped music into the room. So you are doing math, and then they pipe music into your room. And then this room, the students have volume control. They have a knob that they can control the volume, right? And so if it's too much, just reduce it and then concentrate on your mind. But these guys, unfortunately, no volume control. And so you are doing math, and then they are pumping this music. You really want it to be low, but you don't have any control. And so they did that. After a while, they found that those students that were having music with no control had high stress. It came out very stressed, high stress, high hormone levels, and they felt like they were almost burned out. Okay? So this is showing us that if you have some control in your life, it helps. Okay? And so that's why I'm leading you towards some control in your life. And so control is very critical in terms of how you deal with stress. Okay? I'm going to go to this slide. Let's go through first. Go here. So before I go to my last slide, which is probably the best slide I want you to remember tonight, I want to show you this one. This one is actually for students. For students, some of the things you can do to have control. Okay? Strategies to increase. So especially if you are on the left side, on the under stress side, these are some of the things you can do. You can create a semester schedule. Okay? When I was a student, that's what I do. So I have my calendar. Maybe I have classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these days. I fill it in, and I'll fill in the times I want to study. Okay? And I'll fill in the times I want to go and hang out with my friends. And so when that time for me to study, if a friend comes, I'm not going out because I'm studying. Okay? And so that's That's you create a semester-long schedule. Very important. I know it's probably a bit late, but if you do it now, you're going to do well. Then look ahead with all your classes in mind to see how much time you really have. Very important. You know, we started by saying that after every class, try to review a little bit, and so build those in. Okay? And then, for example, if you are doing maybe University 110 today, you could maybe put 110 studies tonight or tomorrow or something like that. And then break down your work into steps. Review where you're going to be done all these things. So these are having some control. Okay? And then reflect on past experiences. Maybe you can complete it in one night, but how did you feel the last time you put things together and that stuff like that? So these are some of the things you can do to increase the pressure a little bit if you are on the under stress side. Okay? And then strategies to decrease pressure. If you are getting close to the burnout zone, these are some of the things you should do. Self-care, we've done that. Schedule time for things that make you feel good. Okay? Not just, and then stress management, deep breathing, muscle relaxation, and then make a plan. So these are actually student specific. Okay? Now, the last slide we will be looking at is actually answering the question, how do we turn the enemy of stress into become our friend? Okay? And so the question I always ask people is that, wouldn't you love to live in a stress-free life or stress-free world? No stress. The only problem is that stress-free life doesn't exist. Okay, that's how we are made. The stress-free life doesn't exist. Stress is life, and therefore, as we look at the two students controlling the music, in many ways, one thing I must say that in many ways, how much stress we decide, not all the time, but in many ways, we decide how much stress to live with. I want to give you examples. You decided to come to Belmont, right? You could have gone somewhere else. And so that's your choice, right? We decide what job to take, right? If it's a job that is noisy, we decide to take it or not. We decide what home to live in. Nobody will force you to live in a home, by and large, right? We decide how much time to spend with our friends. You decide. So if you cannot decide this, then you have a problem. If friends say, let's go, and then you are going. Let's go to play, you are going. When you know you have assignments, you have a problem. We decide what to do with our weekends. You can play the whole time, or you can stagger them and study and play and also worship. Okay? We may decide, in fact, we can actually decide who to marry. Don't let someone force you. You have to decide. Okay? And then how many children you want to have, and so on and so on. So because we have a little bit of choice, I'm going to take to this slide and explain this. These 7 points are the ones I'm going to leave you with. That if you do these things, it's going to help you. First one, acknowledge that there is stress in your life. Okay? So be aware of the things that stress you and how they affect you and how stress can be harmful to you. Be aware. That's why that exercise is important. You do that test. You know, I'm a low stress person, high stress person, I respond this way, I'm in this zone, I'm on this scale. Be aware. Very important. If you don't know, you don't know. If you don't know, you're just walking around this world and you don't know where you are in the stress zone, it can be a problem. So try and do that and be aware. Okay? Be aware. And then, one problem most people have is that, and we all come from different cultures, different homes, different, backgrounds. The problem is that there are certain backgrounds and cultures that have got some kind of stigmas about stress and depression that nobody talks about. They are stressed, but they don't talk about it. Okay? And if you are in that culture, let this lecture help you that, yeah, this is my culture, but this is me. I want to be happy. And so I'll talk about it, okay? I'll find out. And so be aware of it, and so that you can monitor it. Very important. That's how you can make it a friend. Second one is talk to someone you trust. Again, this is about background and culture. Let me tell you, I come from a culture where, you know, stress and depression is almost like a taboo. Nobody talks about it. That's the culture I come from. Okay? I don't know your culture, but the culture I come from is that if you don't talk about it, you have to be strong. Especially if you're a guy, you have to be strong. And so you try to be stronger and stronger and stronger until you do something harmful to yourself. And so I said, that's my culture, but this is me. And so I will try to find out and then try to monitor it and try to support someone. Who do you talk to? Okay? Discussing your feelings with your friend, family members, or a mental health professional, somebody you trust. Okay? Very important. I'm watching the time, 26, about 7 minutes, I'm going to finish this. Okay? Practice realization techniques, very important. Okay? Regular exercise, that's why new staff talk about exercise. So regular exercise, balanced diet, sufficient sleep. Okay? All these will help you to cope with stress. Okay? Next one is slow down. Slow down and minimize your stresses. Once you find them, you know, what causes you stress, try to slow down. I think we are rushing too much in life. Slow down. Okay? Slowing down is very important. Seek professional help. Again, you know, talk to people who can help you. Again, the culture and the background and the family system can come in, but it's about you. Okay? So if stress is overwhelming you, a medical help will help you. The last one I want to talk about, because again, I say most of us, we have faith and we are kingdom people. Faith is important. The problem with faith is that some professionals out there don't believe that faith can help you. But we do believe. In fact, there's studies and studies and studies that have shown that people of faith tend to cope well with stress better than people without faith. It's a fact. Okay? Because when things happen, there's a higher source that you can approach and talk your problems with that higher source. Very, very important. Okay? And so, for that point alone, I'm going to give you 4 pointers. That's my last one. So why is faith such a powerful help in coping with stress? I'm going to give you 4 answers. Okay? Because faith allows you to cultivate 4 disciplines in your life. To discipline your life. Faith helps you, 1, for direction, to have a moral compass. Okay? If you know that you are not doing things well, that faith will help you go and seek to do things well. Don't say that I've given up. No, don't give up. So direction in life, that's what faith helps you with. Second one is balance. Okay? Usually people of faith, they balance their life with work, play, and worship. Also worship. You know, worshiping is also very important. And the third one is rest. People of faith, rest. Okay? Rest. I don't know the day that maybe you go to church or you do something, but rest is very important. And last one, people of faith have positive attitude. You don't have to be thinking about the negative things that are going on around the world. Otherwise, you're going to be stressed. You're going to listen to world news. but have a positive attitude. That's my prayer for you. And so I hope that this will help you academically, and this will help you, even socially and then mentally as you develop and grow and become, bigger adults in your professions. So God bless. All the best.
Bye.